Hello, my beautiful sisters. Welcome to another day at the Startup HERpreneur Summit. And today we have Christina, and I may mess up your last name, Daves?
Babes, you got it.
All right. Okay, cool. I know there's two different ways to say it, so I wanted to be really clear for a second for you. Now, Christina is amazing. She is the best of the best when it comes to PR. Her work is called PR for anyone, but today she's going to get really focused on PR for startup herpreneurs or female entrepreneurs that are just starting, no matter what industry you're in, to really get you moving. Now, she is a visibility expert. She does have a brand background, and she has a best-selling book. So if you listen to this and you're like, oh my God, this girl's amazing, I want to hear more, definitely check out her best-selling book, which is as simple as PR for anyone. And if you forget the name, just look behind her. And Christina, do you mind saying hi and saying a little bit about your story?
Hey, everybody. Thank you. I'm excited to be here because I was a startup. I have been where everybody watching is. I have been broke. I have mortgaged my house. So I have been there. Whether you're just starting or it's really taking off. But I invented a product. I had just a fluke accident where I broke my foot and was in one of those big, ugly, black medical boots. And we were headed to New York City, fashion capital of the world. And I'm on the train, medical boot fashions, medical boot accessories, thinking there'd be something in New York, and there was nothing. So the light bulbs went off, and I said, I'm going to design a fashion line for this. And it was really well received, and everybody thought it was a great idea. But what I didn't think of was that I created a whole new space in the marketplace. So nobody knew that they needed to decorate their medical boots. So I was stuck. I mean, when I say we mortgaged the house and I hired, you guys may have been here, I hired an advisor who advised me very poorly. I spent way too much money. I made way too many styles of fashions for it. So I made a ton of mistakes. And at the end of the day, I didn't have any money left to hire a PR firm to pay for advertising. So I literally went to the library and started doing research and found out about this thing called publicity. And I became a do-it-yourself PR expert.
So what is PR, and why would any business need it, to be specific?
Right. Well, if you want people to find out about your business, it's a really easy, free way to do it. I mean, I did a guerrilla marketing stunt and ended up on the Today Show, and 7 million people found out about my business. Pretty good stuff. And I calculated, I had never done this before. I worked with so many amazing people. So I was like, all right, in 2018, we're going to calculate this. So we had and this is from people who told me, like people who actually got back to me and said stuff. We had 873 million views and over 8 figures in sales, all from free publicity. So that is why you want to do this.
Wow. So for someone that's listening to this right now and is like, okay, I've never heard of PR before, this is the first time, and you're kind of hyping me up a little bit here, like little cheerleaders over here, like, yay, bring it on. How do they start to move forward in this? What's the best way? What's the best advantage?
Right. So there's several things. First of all, you want to start out locally. You all live somewhere where you have a local paper, a regional paper, magazines. They love to cover local businesses, and you're new. So come up with something that's, creative about your business, not just, hey, I just started this business. Give them some meat, give them something good, something, juicy about your business. Why? Everybody has a why. All entrepreneurs have a reason that we did this. I was so miserable in that boot. And then I realized how many millions of people are putting those boots every year. And that became my why. I didn't want to feel that way, and I didn't want anyone else to ever feel that way again. So what's your why? Go start local. That's the easiest way. Local television, now if you live in New York, I'm sorry, it's like, the #1 market in the country, but there are still local papers, local magazines, regional. So that's how you want to get started. Pitch about your business. Tell them that you're new. Tell them what it is, why it's so fabulous. And here's the most important part: how their audience can benefit from learning about you. Whether it's a great story to read, whether you're offering something that the community can use, that people in the community can use, what is the benefit to the end reader or viewer?
How many hours should someone spend doing this daily or weekly or monthly? because it's not just you have a business and now you have to focus on really promoting your business at the end of the day.
Right. But you have to market. So to answer your first question, 10 minutes a day, max. Max.
Okay.
Once you learn a system, and my system works and it's really easy, that's all it takes, 10 minutes or less. And here's why you want to do it, because if you don't, and I got a new client this morning who has the most amazing business, amazing. And I told her, this is so good. You are going to get knocked off so fast. And the person who knocks you off, if they have marketing skills and social media skills, doesn't matter if you were first. You got to be first and best and biggest to market. So we're doing this huge campaign now for her because it is good. So you could be the best at what you're doing, but if you're not telling the world you're the best, somebody else, whether they're good or not, is, and they're going to get the business.
Yeah. So what's the best way to start? What, like you said, get local publicity. How do we contact your newspapers, and what are some other ways that we can maybe do it online? For example, I travel a lot. Right now I'm in Orlando, but I'm normally from Miami. I'm going to Tampa. So what do I do?
Well, you should be pitching everywhere you go is what you should be doing. But how do you find out who to pitch? It's really this easy. Go to Google. Who writes about business for the Sun Gazette? Who writes about real estate for the Times? Whatever your local papers. Those papers, I mean, you can do this for national media people too. You might have to dig a little bit, but your local media, are all on Google, and it's their name and their email and their phone number. And usually you get the little pre-populated email button that you just push and it automatically pops the email for you. So it really is that easy. People are so afraid to pitch the media. And I interview journalists all the time, and, they'll say to me, my Rolodex is so small because people are afraid to pitch. Mm-hmm. Now, shows like the Today Show and Good Morning America, they're inundated, but give them a good pitch, you'll hear back. I just pitched the Today Show last week. I heard right back from her. She's like, we really like this. Let's see if we can get this in. Now, they haven't booked anything yet. That's when they do it, but she responded back because I gave her a good pitch that would be valuable to her audience.
So how do we create a pitch that would be valuable to the local community? How do we start that?
Right. So, it depends what your business is. When I did it, my story started out with, local inventor creates a product, that never existed before. I'm changing the face of healing. So instead of it being oh gosh, what happened? It's, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Like, it just changes the whole mindset. Mm-hmm. Well, then it went on when Diana Ross wore my product. Local inventor has, huge celebrity wear a product. I won Steve Harvey's inventor competition. So whenever you have things that you can go back to the news, that's good local. Think of what you like to read in your paper and just kind of, go from there. You don't necessarily need to read an expose about somebody, but those are good, feel good stories. So what is your business doing to help the world, to help this industry, to help whatever it is? You've started the business, that it's viable, you've done your homework, you've done your research. What is it that you can share with the world about your industry?
And what are some free ways that we can help create buzz in our business and really start moving that forward? Is there
so my favorite resource is called Help a Reporter Out. It's HERpreneur.com. And what they do 3 times a day, journalists send out media queries. They're looking for experts. How I got on the Steve Harvey show. They look for experts, looking for TV guests. They're looking for quotes. And it's monotonous. I'm not going to tell you a story. You get this big, long email. It's like, oh, I don't want to read it. Read it. It's completely, it's absolutely worth it. If you're featured in Success Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine, and these are online. So guess what happens when somebody Googles you? And they're going to Google you. Nobody's going to work with you without Googling you, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But when they Google you and the Wall Street Journal comes up, or, the Washington Post comes up, or USA Today comes up, because you've answered these queries, you look really credible. It's very, very impressive. So that's HERpreneur.com, and just get the muscle memory of doing it every day. If you miss one, don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up. I go a week sometimes. I don't even have a chance to look at it. But it is the best way to get national media exposure and to grow that SEO, that Google juice, and to get the credibility that you'll get in your industry.
So you just mentioned national media or national publicity at that point, really. So HARO, HARO, you said,
Yeah.
helps with local publicity and national publicity?
No, it's really national. It really is a main focus on big platforms, big blogs, big national media outlets. Now, sometimes you'll get, King TV in Seattle is looking for blah, blah. And if you're local, it's going to be much more favorable. But usually they're all national.
Is there any other tips that you have to become a national publicity?
Yeah, I mean, that is the best and the easiest way to start. Once you start getting some local publicity, you can, like when I pitched the Today Show, I was able to say, hey, I have a local segment in the Washington, D.C. market. I've done 15 of them. I do them once or twice a month. I think your audience could really benefit. We've got a good following. So things like that. You want to be able to do that. You don't want your first time on television to be Good Morning America, and then you get nervous, and because you're going to get nervous, we all get nervous, and you go over the 3 minutes, or you go over, I can do it now where they're like, hey, we're on a tight timeline. We need you to do this, your 6 minute segment in 4 minutes. I'm like, I got it. I can do that. So that's really good to be able to go to national television to be able to do that. You don't want to start never having been on a television set. You're in there like, oh my gosh, what is that? Oh, it's a teleprompter. What? So get your feet wet locally first, because if you mess up locally too, it's not that bad.
Okay.
Markets smaller. It's not a big deal.
All right. So first focus on taking little steps. So becoming local and really getting that in. So for me in Miami, it's Miami Herald, for example, or Telemundo or something like that. So focus on that first. And then you can focus on things such as HERO, national publicity.
And it's interesting you said that, because the Miami Herald is a pretty big paper. So I'm guessing you have, and I'm making this up, a Dade County Times, or I
don't even know. I'll have to check that out.
The Kendall Gazette. I'm sure there are some smaller in the Miami, South Miami something. I'm guessing. I could be wrong. But the Herald is pretty big. Like the Washington Post is pretty big too. But I've gotten in several times. My clients have gotten in. If you know how to craft the story. And I'm not saying don't do the Herald, but just for everybody listening, you very likely have, even in a major city, some smaller, like even in Washington, D.C., there are some smaller, there's the Washington Blade and, some other papers. So and it's just all in a Google search. Very easy to do.
And then, so you're talking about locally. Now, when it comes to also online, for example, like Tiny Buddha. Tiny Buddha is an awesome little thing, and they're pretty big. They're pretty national at that point. Is that a good place to start off with? Or how do you find something online to start off with?
Yeah, Google, who writes blogs in this industry? And I wish I don't have it right in front of me. If I had thought about it, I would have gotten the resource. But you can Google, what are the top ranking blogs in my industry? And that whatever that resource is, might be Mondo Times, but I don't think they're blogs. But you can go to alexa.com. It's not our Google Alexa, but it's actually a website where you can rank. It'll show you the ranking of websites. So for example, Google is number one. They are like the most trafficked website. So if you are thinking of, saying, hey, I want to do a guest blog post, or do you want to talk about doing an interview, and they're ranked 3 million, don't waste your time. But anything like 100,000 or less, it's worth your time. They're getting traffic. Now, one caveat to that is if you are Googling a trade publication, because they're not going to be ranked high in Alexa. But you guys watching, if you're in a specific trade, your trade publication, and then don't worry about Alexa. Just go, you can pitch them your story idea.
Got it. All right, cool. So you gave us some tips on getting online for that matter. local publicity, national publicity. And these are different steps that we should take little by little, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, baby steps. Just one. I say this, I speak all the time. Just take one thing. Like if Hero, you're like, oh, I could do that. That resonates. Or, oh yeah, I'm going to find my local paper and I'm going to see who writes about my industry and, make a connection. Just take one thing from this today and start to implement it.
And let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, so now I kind of have the steps on what I should do. Now, how the panda do I do it? Like, what do I tell these people? So let's say I'll start off with my business as an example, because everyone that's watching obviously knows my business, right? So I focus on startup herpreneurs. That's not something that's particularly different thus far. So how can I differentiate myself with maybe my story help me out here.
Right. What's your story? Why are you doing this? Why did you get into this? Did you create a startup and wish there were more resources out there?
Yeah. So let me see if I can do this. Let me get my voice on, right? So the reason I started this was because at the end of the day, I didn't have someone to look up to in the beginning. I had to really Google, I had to really try, and I couldn't find a lot of women that were up there, if that makes sense. Like Oprah Winfrey, yeah, okay. But not someone that I could talk to or really have a mentor with. It took me a long time to be able to find a coach that I felt related to. So I want to give that to people, and I want, instead of just having to do a one-on-one coaching program all the time, and that's the only way that they can get all this knowledge, I wanted to give it to them freely through a summit or something super cheap for that matter, that they can just get knowledge and be able to move forward with whoever they wanted, be able to meet tons of women that are amazing and really making work just like you and really moving them forward that way.
So if I were you, when does your summit launch?
My summit launches tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, then you better get on the phone. I would pitch the Florida Business Journal. And just say, I started a business. It was so hard to find mentors, to find people like this. So I created this summit to bring like-minded women together who are starting up, who can find community and talk to one another and support one another. And, so I would write up a super short little pitch about your summit. And, you can call the Business Journal and say who would write about, women's business initiative. I want to send over a story idea and, send it over and then pick up the phone in a couple days and follow up with a phone call.
So really it's knowing who we want to talk to for that matter and why, like what's your story behind it and what else am I missing? The how and the what, right? So
right. The how is always a short pitch. And I always say, think of your emails when they come in. Do you read the emails that are this long? No, we read the ones that are this long because we can do it, answer, boom, boom, delete, whatever you need to do. I often flag the long ones and I never see them again. So break them apart, do bullets, make it really, really easy for them to read. Give them a great subject line that's going to, make them want to read that. I'm trying to think of for you, just like off the top of my head. I'll come up with something for you, but something about, 95% of all women businesses fail. This is why. Or here's the change. Here's why this won't happen now. Something like, and I don't know what that number is. I'm sure you know what that number is.
It's up there.
Something like that. So that's but this will fix that, or this will change that. That should be enticing enough for them to at least read your email, at least open it.
Got it.
And then making sure you have the right person to pitch to. Just because you find a writer at the Miami Herald, if this is the sports guy, he's not going to forward it to the business person. So make sure, or do the Miami Herald business section. It's a good story. You're local. You've got a great story to tell, and you're helping and empowering, new women entrepreneurs.
All right. Perfect. Thank you for that. So that was really good knowledge to begin with. And for someone that just heard about PR for the first time, they must be like, oh my God, this is like huge. How come I've never heard of this before? And it's true. It took me a really long time for me to even hear about PR when I had started my business. It took me over a year and something to even know it existed. It's crazy. So for someone that just started, that now they know the steps, they want to go local. they want to go for free nationals. Is there anything as well that's also affordable to start them off with after they can finish the little free section like that? Anything that can kind of help them boost?
Everything is free. What I teach is it's free publicity.
Wow.
There are some local papers who are going to say, "Oh, we'll write about you if you advertise." Well, that's not an editorial paper. I say, boo-hoo, stay away from them. But so the system, the Get PR Famous system, is be newsworthy, create a great hook, and find the right journalist. And we used you as the perfect example. We created what was a newsworthy story idea. I gave you a great hook, which is how they're going to open the email. And then you just need to find who that person is who would cover women's entrepreneurial stories.
Perfect. Can you send the same thing to like 10 different people?
Yeah.
Or it has to be different.
Now, some people are going to say, hey, if it's a really good story, they're going to say, who else have you sent this to? Is anyone else writing about it? A lot of times they want an exclusive. But I like to build relationships. So I'll usually send them one at a time to, pick your top choice. If you don't hear back in a couple days and you followed up with a phone call, because then if you pitch to somebody else and somebody else picks it up and then they call you, you can say, well, I got back to you. I didn't hear back from you. I sent you the email. I left you a message. So, they know their industry. It's not, unless you give someone an exclusive, it's not an exclusive.
Got it. All right. I'm happy with that information. Thank you for that. So what is one action step? Someone's probably listening and being like, okay, this is a lot. Now I know I have to sit down and work on my pitch for that matter and figure out what I want to say and what's my hook. And you're probably spinning at this point, right? Because you gave amazing information, but it is a lot for somebody that's just hearing it for the first time.
Right.
So how do we make it super simple and just give them one action step for today and something that they can possibly do 10 minutes per day after that?
So today you're new, right? Everybody watching for the most part is new. Mm-hmm. What's your why? Write it down. You've got to know that. You've got to be able to articulate your why. You've heard of the elevator pitch. Mm-hmm. So that's it. And then you want to pitch your new business. So tell them why you did it. Tell them how it's going to benefit their audience and why, and not why they should write about you, but give them some meat as to why this is a good story. And that's it. That's your first pitch. The new is the easiest one. Newsworthy. That's the one that it's hard to hear a no on that one for a local business. Again, unless you're in New York and, you're pitching New York Times, that's going to be hard. Find that local, even if it's a local podcast, a popular local podcast, if you are in one of these big, huge markets. But I'm in the DC market, which is, goes between like 7, 8, 9. And I've gotten on over and over and over again, Washington Post, local television. So you can do it. You just have to be persistent with it. So that's it. That's your first pitch. And then look at a calendar. Look at things coming up in your industry. See when studies come out in your industry and bring them locally. So say some big study comes out by a big reputable company. What does that mean for your local market or your local industry? Just little tidbits like that. And the more you do it, it becomes muscle memory. When you read the paper and you say, oh, I could have been in that story. I could have been the expert. Cut it out. Put it in a folder and pitch a similar story to a competitor 6 months from now. Because it's a good story. So, watch your TV programs. Read your newspapers, your magazines. Read, where your customers are. Get to know that media outlet. And then think about, you've got your news, you're being new is your first one, but then what other things do they cover and how can you fit into what they're doing? That homework, you'll be light years ahead of your competitors. You really will. And that will help you come up with ideas too, because you're going to see the kind of stuff that they write about and you'll see how you can fit into it.
All right, perfect. And I know that you said that you had a free gift that you wanted to tell everyone about, and you kind of started mentioning it about the 3-step process. So go ahead, talk a little bit more about it, and then the free gift, they already know, is in the little button below.
3 steps to PR success. So it's basically what I've gone over with you guys, but you'll see it in a PDF, and it's written out, and it'll tell you step by step what to do. And it really is easy once you start, I promise. We have thousands and thousands of people who've, gone through my program and gone through my challenge. And when I said 873 million views, these are people, this is not me doing it for them. This is people who follow this 3-step system. So just look at it, get your feet wet. But I'm telling you, once you see a little bit of success, you're going to be hooked, and you're going to want to do more and more, because you're going to see what it does for your business.
And it's true. All the people that have really big businesses like Gabrielle Bernstein, Oprah Winfrey, the reason you know about them is because they're published in News Today and Forbes and all that jazz. So it's just want to get up there at some point, you got to start somewhere. So that's great.
That's social media, guys. We all start with 0. Every one of us has 0 followers when we hit login for the first time. So don't beat yourselves up. Just start. You had the passion to start this business. Now have the passion to grow the business.
Wow. Thank you, Christina. That was a perfect quote. I wish I could put that and put it on right there. It was perfect. Thank you for that last one. Christina, it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you here today. Is there anything else that you feel like maybe we should have talked about, that people should know about? Anything that I'm missing out on? I think we covered it all, but.
I think we did. Yeah, I think we definitely did.
All right. Virtual high five for that. And thank you so much for being here again. I really appreciate it. And ladies, you know the drill. I will see you later. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.